it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This big heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, this big heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This big heart of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I've got a little light, I've gotta let it shine. Yeah, you've got a little light, you've gotta let it shine. We'll shine so bright, light up the day and the night. You and I, let it shine. Yeah, here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah.
Old-time religion is a box I do not fit in. I am metaphysical, I am transcendent. Change the situation by changing your mind. Raise the vibration by knowing you are divine. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of the God in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I am practicing the presence of the Goddess in me. What do you believe? You've got to know your truth. Pure potential possibility, that is you. If you stand in opposition, you perpetuate the thing. What you resist, persist, so let love be what you bring. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of the God in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I am practicing the presence of the Goddess in me. Make a mental path, one step, just to surrender to the presence of the God in you. Make a mental path, one step, just to practicing the presence of the Goddess in you. Follow your intuition and the passion that you got. Be pulled by your vision, don't get pushed by your thoughts. Everything experienced is energetic. Be aware of energy, you give and you get it. Out of the routine, slip into observer state. Change your mind by changing habits, choose a different way. Say yes to your highest and your best. What you desire, you can straight up manifest. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. I surrender to the presence of God in me. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. Practicing the presence of the Goddess in me. Oh, make a mental path, one step, just to surrender to the presence of the God in you. Make a mental path, one step, repeat. Oh, yeah. One step. Not be afraid. One step. walked in the ocean, climbed up a mountain, I've sang in the wind, I cried out in the moonlight, I've drank that potion, wished in the fountain, and I've lived in sin. I keep searching for an answer to make me complete, but every time I think that I found it, the ground shifts under my feet. What I know is every moment is a blessing, and every love is like a light, and beauty comes with every sunrise. Living is the purpose, living is the purpose, living is the purpose, living is the purpose of to the goddess, lie in the night, dance with the devil, I've screamed at the store, held hands with the holy, I've touched the divine, I've plucked every petal, and again
Our general session is about to begin. Please take your seats.
for an answer to make me complete. But every time I think that I found it, the ground shifts under my feet. What I know is every moment is a blessing, and every love is like a light, and beauty comes with every sunrise. Living is the purpose, living is the purpose, living is the purpose, living is the purpose of every kiss is a wonder. Every kiss, every heart is like a shooting star. And you are perfect in this moment. So live out loud, live out loud, live out loud, live out loud, live out loud. Just be who you I understand why you might be afraid. I feel the same way. I understand.
Please welcome to the stage Elections Committee member Dan Granda.
Good morning, and this is your unofficial welcome to the 2024 CSL business meeting. The official welcome will be happening in a moment, but I am Reverend Dan Granda, and I'm a member of the elections team, and we just wanted to come out here and share a couple of notes with you about this meeting and the elections process for today into tomorrow. So you may notice that the first couple of rows in this middle section we have reserved for delegates. So we're asking that if you're not a delegate, if you would sit either in the back or to the sides, and that is to help better facilitate the Q&A and the business aspects of today's meeting. For delegates watching online, we do have a delegate-specific link to a webinar where delegates can come and ask questions later in the chat and participate. And we have learned from our past, and we have made a universal link for streaming for the rest of the field so that anybody anywhere within CSL can watch and participate in today's meeting as well. If you are looking for Spanish translations, there is a Spanish translation for delegates happening through that delegate link in the Zoom webinar. So if you are looking for translation, you could sit in the comfort of your own room here in the building and watch with translations, or at home, you can turn those translations on in your Zoom portal. Note that today is in two sessions, so there's a morning session and there's an afternoon session. That is important for people online. Again, there are two links, one link for the morning and one link for the afternoon. That is true for the delegates and also the general stream. So the email you got this morning has both of those links in it. So today you're going to hear from CSL staff and leadership with all things about this past year. It's going to be fabulous. We will, as usual, have a Q&A at the end of the second session today. If you are a delegate and you have questions, we'll have 2 microphones set up in the room so you can line up at those microphones when it's time, and we will call on you from the stage. If you are online, again, you can drop your questions in the chat, and we'll have somebody here in the room read those questions out, and we will get those answered as well. Recording for today's meetings will be available to everybody 24 to 48 hours after the conclusion of the meeting. Also, at the conclusion of today's meeting at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, the voting for the elections will open, and it will run for 24 hours, so it will close tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. If you are a delegate, you should already have credentials in your email. If you haven't received those and you are a delegate, you can email elections@csl.org, and somebody is waiting to welcome your email and respond to you quickly. So yes, let's clap for that. So a quick shout out to the elections team, because they really have held the space for this elections process and really kept things going and honed in on this process over the last several years really well. And so shout out to Reverend Julie Lobato, thank you so much. Rebecca Hiroka and Mary Lindsay as well have really just, have absolutely stepped up and just kept this thing going. So thank you so much. Again, if you have questions about the election, if you're a delegate, you can email elections@csl.org, and you shall receive a prompt response. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our 11th annual business meeting of the Centers for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Alice Reed, and I am your Leadership Council Chair, and I am here this morning at this moment to call this meeting to order. And what would a CSL meeting be without a prayer and some remarks from our spiritual leader? So I want to bring up Reverend Sonny Cantrell Smith.
Thank you, Alice. Welcome to the greatest, most inspiring, joyous business meeting you have ever attended. Yes, right? So I want to just take a moment not only to say hello and good morning and grand rising to everyone, but turn to your neighbor and say thank you for being here. I'm so blessed by your presence. One more. Thank you for being a reflection of me. Some of you didn't change seats, so I guess it's okay, right? I don't want to say thank you for being around. No. I'm so excited to be here, and seeing all of these faces gives me great encouragement and hope that we're all here to support this beautiful organization in its evolution and transformation. So thank you all for being a part of this community we call CSL. Give yourselves some love. And with that being said, I'm going to invite you to step into that place, dropping into that heart space. Just taking a moment to breathe in all that has transpired so far last night. What a beautiful night. Take in the arena of love that is blossoming and continuing to grow and expand, not only in this room, but throughout the city and the state and the world. Take a moment to simply envision the expansion of light that is calling us to continue to expand throughout the world. And as you breathe, know that you are simply being breathed by the one power and presence that breathes us all. That we are indeed the beloved. And as we breathe in and drop into that heart space, I invite you to remember who you are and why you are here. What called you in the beginning and what still calls you to be fully present, aware, awake, and alive in this moment, knowing that this moment will never be the same. This configuration of souls will never be the same again, because we are always changing and moving, as spirit is always changing and moving and creating out of itself only what is like itself. And I know this morning, as we call it Spirit God, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, whatever it may be, the infinite intelligence and wisdom, that it is absolutely expressing in and through and as each and every individual in this room, those who could not be with us and those online. No matter what language we speak, it is the language of love that supports our gathering. Soul to soul to soul. So I know this morning, for this incredible, joyful, amazing business meeting, that it unfolds supported by that love, supported by the joy that we receive simply by being together, knowing that this infinite intelligence is the one and the only one in charge here. And that we come to gather soul to soul to soul to recognize and stand in the power of the oneness of who we are. I bless our time together. I bless each speaker, each facilitator. I bless the rooms and the chairs on which we sit. I bless those online, and I bless those who are not with us. And I bless all those who came before us and whose shoulders we stand upon, who have led the way through their dedication and commitment to the science of mind, knowing that Spirit has called us, and now it is our turn. And so it is with a grateful heart, as I breathe in once again, it is with a grateful heart that I simply release this prayer into that perfect universal law that only knows yes. It only knows yes. It only knows yes. Standing in the place of grace, I lovingly release, as we all say together, and so it is. I think it's Alice or Michelle. Nope.
Okay, then it's Alice.
Alice? Give Alice some love.
Well, I'm so glad to see you here this morning at our annual meeting. I must confess that I have always enjoyed our business meetings. I know, but it's the one place where we get to recap and reflect all the things that we have done over the last year. It's the opportunity for us to celebrate our successes, to maybe be transparent about our challenges, and to look ahead. And so what I want to say this morning as I begin is that it has been quite a year for CSL. We have been through a lot of shifts. I'm pretty sure I enunciated that well. Well, where are you thinking? I really have been honored to be your Leadership Council Chair, and it's been wonderful to work with our executive team. I can't say enough about the camaraderie and the connection and the synergy that Reverend Michelle and Reverend Sonny and I have. And we are, in a sense, building this plane as we fly it, because we've been working together to really dive deep into what shared leadership means and to begin to redefine it for ourselves and for our organization. Before you, you see our purpose and our vision and our mission. And when I think about this theme of a grand rising, for me, it brings up an opportunity for us to decide who we want to be and how we want to show up as science and mind in the world. For some of us, our contribution is revealing the magnificence of our spirituality through providing spiritual tools for personal transformation, consciousness work. And to those of you who make that decision, thank you. For some of us, our contribution is working within our organization as stewards and volunteers to continue to grow our movement as a philosophy that works for everyone. Thank you. And still for some, it's creating opportunities to demonstrate how our spiritual philosophy can create both personal and global transformation through sacred activism. And I want to thank you. To evolve into a 21st century teaching that is relevant to today's world, we need all of it. We need consciousness work, we need systems work, and we need activist work. These priorities that some of us have, these ways of being, these ways of expressing our teaching, don't compete with each other. They complement each other and they support each other. And with that, I want to give you an overview of the Leadership Council's work this year. As you are well aware, as I am very well aware, we selected and hired a wonderful new executive director, Reverend Michelle Ariano. She brings with her a wealth of nonprofit experience. We also elected a new spiritual leader, Reverend Sonny Cantrell. And as our beloved Reverend Dr. David Alexander turned out as chair of the Leadership Council, I stepped in. And so, thank you. And the three of us have been working really well together, and we've been really taking the concept of shared leadership and moving it into action and practice. And I think that we've been doing it really well. But one of the things that I've really recognized as we move into shared leadership, there aren't a lot of books out there on shared leadership. It's a pretty innovative model that we have. And what I've noticed with Michelle and Sonny and myself is that we've had to be really generous with each other. And we've had to be transparent, and we've had to create that safe space to, trip up a little bit and then to celebrate our successes and everything in between. The other things that went on this year, we had that wonderful leadership shift, was that our Leadership Council met in person for the first time in over 5 years. So that's pretty amazing. And when we did meet, we met at our very own Camp Cedar Ridge. Yay. And one of the feedback that I got from all the Leadership Council members was how rich it was to be able to deepen our relationships, to be able to see each other, to hold each other, and to be with each other. And in that deepening, as we moved through the process, we looked at the values that are in our organizational design model. And these values were put together through a process, as I recall, that we did this in 2014, where we really worked with the field and collected the values that were most important to us and reached consensus around that. And the values are accountability, which includes open communication, financial health and prosperity, integrity, love, which includes community service, safety, compassion, and caring, spiritual living, which includes diversity and inclusion, education, transformation and evolution, creativity, and continuous improvement. And as looking at these values, we came up with a vision statement for the Leadership Council. Now, mind you, we weren't trying to change the vision statement for CSL. That's a world that works for everyone. But we came up with this vision statement that was very cogent to the work that the Leadership Council is doing. We had a lot of fun doing this, as I recall. And so that is, CSL is a multicultural, abundant organization grounded in love and sacred joy. Unified by our spiritual living principles, we promote awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. In love and service, the Leadership Council fosters collaboration using integrity, openness, awareness, and inclusion as our superpowers. Yes. And I think you can see our values in that, can't you? That we really integrated those values and came up with that guiding statement that carries us forward. Now, many of you might recognize this as the CSL organization chart from the ODM. Now, don't focus on all the fine print. It's changing because some of the committees have changed and some of the, there's been a little bit of reorganization in the home office staff and management as we've been right-sizing ourselves. But the thing I really want you to pay attention to is the circles within the circles within the circles. At the center, we have principle, God, Spirit, that guiding, grounding force that moves everything forward out of itself. And then we move into our spiritual practices, and those inform our field, which inform the Leadership Council, which inform the spiritual leader and the executive director and the executive team. And then the outer colorful ring is the home office international headquarters and the work that they're doing, supported by the committees and councils on the outside. And I bring this up for you because I think it's important for us to really get our head wrapped around this very innovative and creative model we have for shared leadership. I don't know that we really, you might be working on a committee or you might be on a connection call, and it's really hard to get the big picture. I want to talk a little bit about shared leadership. One of my favorite quotes, trust is the fruit of a relationship where you know you're loved. And in order for us to really move into true shared leadership, it takes trust. It takes building trust. It takes cultivating that trust and nourishing it. One of the things I've learned is that in addition to trust, shared leadership requires solid communication and accountability that's grounded in love. There have been times over the years where in our effort to create that beautiful shared leadership model, sometimes we have flattened our organization a little too much. And what happens is that we're sort of out here on the edges. I'll bring that other slide up in a minute, but we're out here on the edges and this one doesn't know what this one's doing. And so our opportunity as leaders in this organization is to begin to bring our focus back to that circles within circles within circles and how we support each other and can work together. It requires good systems for accountability and communication, and many of those systems have been tested through the leadership and staffing vacancies we've had over the last 3 years. Oh, and don't forget, we navigated a worldwide pandemic in the process as well. All right, there we go. Centers for Spiritual Living currently has 27 councils and committees that are accountable to the Leadership Council. And if we go back to that other slide, I just want to look at that for a minute and notice that all the councils and committees and home office headquarters, the executive team, they all funnel inward towards the Leadership Council, who is accountable to the field that is centered in spiritual practices and principles. And it's a two-way street. Not only are our committees and councils accountable to the Leadership Council and field, but the Leadership Council needs to understand and support the work of the committees while helping them understand the big picture, keeping them informed of the direction, available human and financial resources, and other activities that might complement or perhaps challenge some of the work that's happening at committee and council levels. In addition to this wildly innovative shared leadership model we also work with independent 501c3s. I have come to refer to them as our affiliated nonprofits. We have two standalone affiliated nonprofits. That's the Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation and Camp Cedar Ridge that operates our camp up in Oregon. Both of these organizations are 501c3s. They have their own leadership structure, they have their own board, they have their own staff, they have their own budget, their own income and their expenses. In addition to the archives and Camp Cedar Ridge, we have the Science of Mind Foundation. Now, the Science of Mind Foundation is a horse of a little bit of a different color because it is its own 501c3, but it's a special kind that's referred to as a supporting organization. And that organization is there to help promote long-term resources for CSL and its communities. And their board of directors, while they have their own budget for income and expenses, their board of directors consists of 3 Leadership Council members. And so we work together with our affiliated nonprofits. We work closely with them. We are more than kissing cousins. We're like sisters organizations. And all of us are grounded in Science of Mind and our principles. I want to talk a little bit. I have a whole presentation this afternoon to talk about our governing documents, but let's just plant a seed this morning, noticing that we have 3 documents that are our organizing documents that we go to for guidance. We have the ODM, the Organizational Design Model, which articulates our culture and our values. We have our bylaws, and that's where we get the rules, the processes, the things that are in alignment with US law. Yes, we work with other countries and we take that into account, but as a US organized nonprofit, we must abide by US laws, and the bylaws allow us to do that. And it also helps us to guide us in the various ways that we are in our committees and our elected officials. Our policy and procedure manual guides staff and volunteers just on specific processes. And we're going to talk a little bit more about our governing documents this afternoon. The other thing that we're doing is we have assembled a diverse representation of our organization that serve as a task force advising the strategic planning process, which we began last year. Our goal is to have a comprehensive 3-year plan by the end of 2024. And we're due, because our other strategic plan, let's just say it got a couple of curveballs as the pandemic rolled through our organization and the rest of the world. Looking ahead, we're going to continue to work with this shared leadership model to help reinforce and support our committees and councils and our Leadership Council as we work together as one organization supporting our mission, our vision, and our purpose. We will realize financial stability. I have great confidence in that as we move forward. We seem to have the right people in the right places now. We'll complete the strategic planning process collaboratively. The Golden property is still listed, and so we intend to have that sold by the end of the year. And then we will look at updating our succession planning for our councils and our committees so that not only can we support the existing committee members, but we can make room for newness on those committees as well. In the next 2 to 3 years, we'll be reviewing and updating our affiliate agreements and revisiting the CSL values. It's been 10 years. Now, and I know in the last 10 minutes or so, I've given you a lot of information, but it's my hope that you now have a good, solid overview of Centers for Spiritual Living and how it's structured and how we work together to do this process called shared leadership. I have a couple people that I need to thank, and that's your Leadership Council. None of this is possible without them. We work together very well, and it's been a good, solid group this year. I also want to thank our member council who does their utmost to really support the laity in our movement. Our practitioner council who is dedicated to the 2,000 or more practitioners in our movement. Please tell your practitioners about the gatherings that they have. They have gatherings once a month, they have gatherings once a year, and they're really there to support the practitioners in being their best at the practitioner work that they do. And our Ministers Council, who similarly support our ministers in our movement. All these councils have been instrumental in supporting the different sections of our organization. And then finally, I want to thank our nominating council, who does an amazing job to make sure that we have qualified and wonderful candidates for our election process. Thank you very much. And now it's time to bring up our wonderful Reverend Michelle Ariano, our Executive Director.
Thank you, Rev Alice. She leads with heart and soul and detail. And she has been an incredible leadership council chair this past year, and we're so grateful for her, so grateful for her. She's like the glue that sticks it all together. She's the glue. It's wonderful to be with you all. It's wonderful to be standing here in person with you all and to be talking about the inner workings of what's happening at Centers for Spiritual Living. A part of our goal this past year is to communicate. And we've updated the newsletter. We've brought on our team to talk about all the amazing work that's happening and our committees and councils. Brought it out through the newsletter and the connection call. And we're going to continue to do that, because when I came in, there was such a feeling of disconnect when it came to that kind of communication, for everybody to know what everybody else is doing and how we work to support you, and how the councils and committees and leadership council work to support our organization as a whole. So I'm kind of arching. There's a lot of words in my PowerPoint. I'm not going to say all the words. Too many words, but they will be posted online, and so we'll send that link out to everybody. I'm just going to give you an overview. So Grand Rising, everyone. Grand Rising. Grand Rising. Like, right? We are in a Grand Rising right now. We are in a new phase of our organization. We are rising and we are moving into today, this new day. So a lot of what we've been working on at home office is streamlining, and enhancing our efficiency and working better together. You know, there's a time, there was so much going on prior to me coming in. You know, the pandemic coming in and the executive team who was mighty, working to kind of keep all the pieces together, not having an executive director for a while. And so everybody did an amazing job, and they did all they could with what they had, but it was a survival mode in some aspects of it. And so we didn't have a lot of cross-department communication and collaboration. And so we've been doing much more of that this year. And it really has been amazing. We truly are better together. And as we work more together, there's a synergy that's happening that is expanding. And you'll be seeing more of that this year. So we are moving to a virtual work community and putting a lot of pieces in place around that. It's interesting in this world right now because you would think there would be more best practices out there. And there are some, but there's not as many as you would think they would be. So our finance director, Ty Minkler, and our operations director, Reverend Barbu, have been working diligently on helping take us to the next level, to update us in IT, which James Peak is our IT director and does a great job. But, oh yeah, James is just a gift to all of us, Reverend James. And you'll see a little bit update about him in Rev Barb's update. And so we're really, and you know, it's kind of the world of nonprofit where we're trying to be, and we are being and continuing to work to be efficient and have updated processes in place to support everything that's going on, but not a big budget to pay for all of that. So that's where the creative leadership comes in, to be able to do as much as we can with spending as little as possible as we update our systems, and doing like these, I always talk about phases and levels, you know, and so the first level is what's the next thing that we need to do? And then thinking about, well, then what's next, and then what's next. And so to continue to look at our efficiencies and how to bring that together. We have reformatted the magazine, and you'll hear more about that in Holly's presentation. Restructuring staff. We didn't have an IT director, and so everybody had their own, and we have a resourceful team and resourceful communities out there, but everybody kind of had their own little IT things going on in the different departments, and so having Rev James come in, he's helped kind of bring that together for us and synthesize it, and then continuing to streamline and upgrade. Another piece that has been really important is to bring people in from our communities and field to get feedback on what's next for us. And so we've been creating task force. We have a marketing task force. Our resource development committee has just like taken it to the next level. I mean, this is a powerful group of people through visioning to really support resources both for Centers for Spiritual Living, for our home office, for our headquarters, and really looking to bring that out into the community. So you'll be seeing more coming in that. We have our Sacred Activism Task Force, which Rev Sunny will be talking more about. Strategic planning, which Alice mentioned, and of course, our wonderful Tune In Tuesdays with our spiritual leader. And then in education, Dr. Cece has been doing an incredible job in talking to everybody and their brother and sister and cousin about thoughts and ideas and what's working, what's not working, what could we be doing, what aren't we doing, and where we're going. And she's holding big, beautiful space around that. And she's now our Senior Director of Education, overseeing homes, spiritual leadership, and all of our education. And we're blessed to have her on our team. Yeah, thank you. And the other beautiful piece is that all of these groups are starting out with visioning. So we're practicing our teaching as we allow Spirit to come in and guide the process for us. And usually it takes a couple of visioning processes for us to really move into that space. United collaboration. And so this is, again, where we're moving away from more of a isolated or individual department or committee or council and moving back into working together, this better together. How can we synthesize what we're doing? A lot of times I explain it like if we have all these trains and they're all going in a direction to be better together or to move forward in CSL, but they're all going in different directions, then it's hard for us to come together and move forward together. And so as we're collaborating more and more, and all this energy is starting to come into synergy with each other, we move forward, and we're seeing more and more of that. So more about, the integration and just continuing to optimize our resources and reduce redundancies. Just like Alice mentioned earlier with the ODM, she'll be talking about some updates around that, and that's going to be a great example of how to bring just more clarity to the foundational documents of our organization. So our sister organizations, our amazing Camp Cedar Ridge, Science of Mind Archives, and our Science of Mind Foundation. And so continuing to work and communicate with the sister organizations and how we can work together and what are the different connecting points in supporting each other. Camp Cedar Ridge was amazing in really supporting our leadership council coming there for a retreat, and Casey took extra care of us, and it was a really special time for us to be there together. And there's something, and I think we're all feeling this right now, special about being in person and connecting and looking at each other and being with each other. And that really helped settle, I think, our leadership council in together and how we're going to work together. So the power of our leadership and our shared leadership, I think I mentioned last night, I love shared leadership. And I love the idea of it, and I love the synergy around it. But it's not easy. It's not easy. And so, and Rev Alice mentioned that. It takes a lot of creative thinking and vulnerability and communication and working together. And I think one of the things that Reverend Sunny said is, and not taking everything so personally. So we could really be honest and vulnerable with each other to get to a place that is the best place to serve our organization. So I mentioned the ODM and the bylaws, empowering staff, activating our communities and our volunteers, working collectively together, and continuing to communicate. If you are not signed up for the newsletter, please, please, please sign up. There is great, fresh information every single week. So the retreat that I was talking about with the Leadership Council, so we had that at Camp Cedar Ridge, and we also did a retreat with our directors. And we all came into home office, and we met for a couple days, and it was incredibly powerful. We had a facilitator come in, and we talked about what's working, what's not working, where do we want to go, and how do we want to go together. And it was a great base point for us to really lock arms and move forward together. And people will talk with me about the organization and be like, oh, what's happening there? And or thanks for all that you do, and it's not me. I think it's the team. It is an incredible team that I work with. that hold up so much around the organization. And I think sometimes it's hard to see the inner workings of what's happening in all of the departments, and so that's something that we're really working to bring out to the communities and work collectively together. We also did an online retreat with all staff, and we came up with these staff values: spirit-centered, holistically purposeful, integrity, teamwork, and wholeheartedness. And we really felt like that was the energetic feeling of us being together and working together. So what are our next steps moving forward? And I talk about right-sizing quite a bit within our organization. So that has been a big focus, and you'll hear more from our finance director, Ty, this past year, is right-sizing the organization and balancing our income and our expenses, and so we aren't in a deficit, and cutting expenses where we can while continuing to grow and provide services to the field. And we'll see more of that in 2025, and we'll also see the rewards of some of that that's taken place in 2024. So the Science of Mind magazine and the double issue, and moving our finance platform, and moving our payroll system. And so some of these pieces had big price tags to them, and we've been able to find systems that work as well, if not better, for less money. And that's been a lot of our team behind the scenes making it happen for us. And we are in the process of selling headquarters. We did have somebody that was interested, that was engaged, that was looking at buying the property and ended up pulling out. And so now we have it back on the market, and we're being very proactive in getting the building sold. We are updating the educational offerings, collaborating with sacred activism. One thing that was, I think, a great success is the work that we did with Dr. Sean Ginwright this past year, and our book studies. He's our spiritual hero. The Four Pivots is just an incredible book. He'll be speaking at our conference. It's kind of like the grand finale of Dr. Sean Ginwright. We did the pivots with our directors team, and reimagining ourselves and reimagining social justice and how we show up in the world, and moving from the lens to the mirror, and sometimes the lens to the mirror. It just continues to unfold, the pivots and how they show up individually and collectively for me. And I'm incredibly grateful for his work, and more of that to come. More of that to come. And more of this kind of, and the theme, you could feel the theme happening throughout the year, and we want to continue to build on that. We did an assessment, and you'll hear more of that from Reverend Kathleen around global services, and so we're going to really start to take all of that information and synthesize it and bring in new initiatives, enhance field services to support our community. Julie and her team have done a great job in continuing to innovate and get things online and make it more simple for you as you're working with your ministers, practitioners, and members, and this dedication to service to the field, and continuing to look at the mirror on how we can continue to do it better. Her team does that consistently, and so you'll continue to see more and more coming from that department and support. Updated financial systems and processes. I just want to apologize for our lack of accurate accounting when it comes to giving to home office. I know that some centers have really been challenged where the checks haven't been coded properly and it hasn't shown up in your account. Our new system will take care of that, I promise. We just went to this new system. So the first quarter, give us the first quarter. We've hired somebody. We have the system in place, and now we are cleaning it up. And if there's any issues, call us right away. We also have somebody that's doing invoices. We have it set up automatically now. This has been a huge piece for us to get it right for you. It has taken us longer than I have thought, so sorry, I might have overpromised and underdelivered on that one, but we have worked on it diligently. And Ty, oh my gosh, he has done such a phenomenal job. Our new finance director is a rock star. And he cares beyond caring when it comes, and he is more of a CFO type. And so he's wearing like 3 hats right now as he leads his team in this transformation. He has done cleanup work from over 10 years ago. So it kind of gives you the idea, and I think about it from a spiritual perspective too, of as that's cleaned up, you know, the energy that opens up for us as an organization and the clarity that brings to you. And I just want to do a shout out to Reverend Alice for being treasurer and holding so much of that together for so long as a treasurer and starting that process on clarity. And then Tony taking the next steps on that. And so more and more of that to come. We have now a new accounting system that we're working with, a new payroll system that we're working with, and it is so much more efficient. It is so much. So I feel like so much of what we did last year in 23, we're seeing the fruits this year. And I shared a little bit last night about how I was like, oh, I wish we were further along, and that's just kind of my appetite. I have a big appetite for life. And then when I stopped and looked back, I'm like, oh my gosh, we came so far. We came so far in 23. And if I didn't have the leadership council, the executive team, or my amazing team, we would not have been able to do it. And the support of the field, you all stepping up and saying, yes, I'll serve on that task force. Yes, I'll run for leadership council. Yes, I'll be on that committee. Because that's really what it takes. It does take all of us. We're in this together. I see us as our locked arms moving forward together. We are going to continue to work with resource development initiatives, and you'll see more of that in supporting the entire communities and field with that. And we have our strategic planning task force that Alice mentioned, and so our goal is to have a plan by the end of the year, gathering information, going through the visioning process with a diverse task force. So in every facet of our organization and our operations and initiatives, the 2024 theme of A Grand Rising is our guiding light, inspiring us to evolve, innovate, and reach new heights in our spiritual and organizational journey. And we are the right people at the right time. All of us. And for us to turn this corner in our evolution as an organization, it is all of us. Yeah, that has been really, really, really clear. It is home office doing everything that they can, but we're only as good as the field and the communities. And it's all of us stepping into this new space of this new day and believing in each other and believing that we can do it and reimagining and then reimagining again and then reimagining again as we are moving into this beautiful new space together. And I couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else than our Centers for Spiritual Living community. I am so grateful to serve you as your executive director and to be in this role. When I stepped in, I've worked nonprofit, and so I've worked in roles where my heart was all into it. And so I thought, oh, I'm balanced with this. I'm good. I come into this position, I'm like, oh, this is hard to put down at the end of the night because I love it so much. I love our teaching so much. I love what we offer to the world, and I love you so much that I see we are what the world is asking for right now. And we are moving and in that place of making a world that works for everyone and serving in that area of continuing to be together in that arch that I talked about last night. And wherever we're at in that change spectrum, if we're way over here on the left where we want to pull the covers over our head, or if we're way on the right saying, let's go, for us to be able to love it all as we move forward together, And so the last piece that I wanted to read was the quote that I wanted to read last night that I forgot. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other don't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Thank you very much. Thank you. I so honored to be in this position. So now I am going to invite Alice up. There she is.
Thank you so much.
It's all you.
Wow, let's give her one more hand. So it's my privilege to bring up our new treasurer. Tony and I came on the Leadership Council at the same time 5 years ago, and he brings with him a lot of wonderful knowledge in his personal life and his professional life. And so I would like to introduce to you our treasurer for Centers for Spiritual Living, Anthony Tony Diaz.
Good morning. I'm honored to be the co-presenter of our annual Treasurer's Report. Now this year we're doing something a little bit different. I'm a numbers guy, but I promised everybody that I wouldn't geek out too much this morning. So I'll be spending a few minutes presenting the big picture overview of 2023. Our finance director, Ty Minkler, will dive deeper into the state of our finances and explain the hows and the whys behind the numbers. Now, if you want a deeper dive on my presentation, there's a QR code you can scan into your phone, and for all you geeksters out there, you can dive in. So living in Orlando, Florida, Disney is the main attraction there. And Walt Disney once said, "We keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things because we're curious. And curiosity keeps us leading down new paths." So let's talk about the new paths that we went down in 2023. So at the end of the year, this is what our balance sheet looked like. We had assets of a little bit more than $5.9 million. Our liabilities were a little bit over $4 million. And it gave us net assets of over $1.8 million. Taking a look at our program and operational revenue and expenses, you can see that our total revenues were almost $3.9 million this year. and that was compared to a little bit over $3.6 million last year. And that was an increase of over 7%. Now, if you notice, our programs and operational revenues for this year were almost equal. And the biggest increase from last year was due to our operations revenue. Going into our expenses for 2023, total expenses was $4.2 million. And that was split out again over our programs and our operationals. Compared to last year, which was $3.9 million. Oops. Go back here. That does take a while, huh? Okay. They told me it would take a while. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So at the end of the year, with our almost $4 million in revenue and our expenses of about $4.2 million, that resulted in a net deficit of about $340,000. Now, I'm sorry? Oh, it is a little bit of a delay. Okay. So Ty will be going over this and much more in his presentation, and he'll explain the numbers and what was behind them. And I want to add another shout out to Ty and his amazing staff in the finance and accounting department. Did an amazing job this year, came in March and just was a bulldozer, and put a lot of this information together, and we're all very grateful for him, and he'll be sharing more of that with you. So if you have any questions about this, my video, or anything I've discussed, you can email me. I'll be here all week, so please come up to me. I'll be happy to sit down with you and spend a little bit more time with you. Namaste.
Tony. So I just want to introduce the video to you for Ty Minkler. There's a lot of information on it. It will be posted on our website after the convention, and so will the slides. You can go back and look at it, because Ty, I think it's almost 10 minutes long, and so, but it's great. And he talks about the details and the processes behind the scenes. And he is an absolute wonderful finance person and a wonderful being, and loves what he does and loves our teaching. And we are very grateful to have him on our team. And so, have them play the video.
Everyone. My name is Ty Minkler, Director of Finance and Accounting for CSL. Happy to be presenting today some highlights on finance and accounting situation. And I want to thank Tony for his overview. I want to add a few points to his overview that I think are important to identify. One is that the loss of $340,000 in 2023 included some depreciation. In fact, included a lot of depreciation. And depreciation is just the accounting treatment of the use of a building, and it's not cash. So we actually lost $38,000 cash last year, not $340,000. And of course, that's still not good. We want to do better than that. And to that point, we have about $80,000 in transition costs related to the turnover in finance and accounting in 2023 alone. That won't be repeated again. So we can expect $80,000 improvement right there in 2024. And then, and of course, as you all know, we do want to sell the building, and that will free up about $190,000 of costs as soon as we do that on an annual basis. So not saying anything you all don't already know, but keeping things simple can save money. And we've had a bit of a complex accounting system. We've reduced the number of accounting codes from 490 to about 150. And a number of departments to 8. from 15. And anytime you do that, you're saving money, you're saving time, complexity, questions back and forth about where things go, what to code to which department. And so that's a good thing. We're also reducing the number of bank accounts from 12 to hopefully 5 soon. And that's going to save some time and money. And then we're leveraging modern systems to automate processes, as of course any modern company does, such as with invoicing or bank reconciliation, and that saves time and money. I mean, we saved hours just last month reconciling with our new system several bank accounts, and you multiply that by 12 months. That's thousands of dollars saved right there. So I want to step back a little bit and talk about the department itself. And declare our mission. It's an obvious mission. It's a mission that probably every accounting department has in the country, but it's important to state it for the record. And one of the top priorities is to make sure we have clear and accurate accounting records. That's pretty obvious. Also, cost-effective processing of funds, so that it's the minimum amount of money spent processing those funds. And we want to have safe and secure money management, of course, and of course, helpful budgeting and forecasting tools. So those are basic, but it's important to state them for the record so that you all know those are what we hold ourselves to. And as you know, I am the 5th director since 2021. And as you might imagine, having that much turnover in a short amount of time means there's probably some gaps in our processes and knowledge. There wasn't a lot of knowledge passed to me from prior directors, and we don't have a lot of records of processes. So it's sort of been a learning as you go experience this past year, and a bit chaotic, I will confess, but we're going to fix that. And I've hired some new professional staff to support new systems and processes, and we have moved to a virtual operation, which helps us support our remote working and, of course, lowers cost. And we began streamlining processes and documenting the procedures, which were sorely lacking. So we've accomplished a lot in 2023. I'm proud to say. One of the little things we did was completed our committed giving 2022 commitments. It sounds like a little thing, but it's actually pretty complex, moving money internationally. And I need to, make sure everyone appreciates that it's not just me doing that, but there's a lot of people helping me with these F&A accomplishments. It takes a team. It's a lot of help from a lot of people. We caught up on accounts payable this year. We've been behind for months, in payables and for most of the year. Finally got that caught up. We caught up on entries to Salesforce in January. We've been behind badly all year, and my commitment to you all is to make sure we stay up to date in Salesforce, where we record our committed giving, of course, and that's a priority for us going forward. We set up a bank lockbox, which is just a way for us to have the checks go directly to a PO box that the bank deposits for us. And that saves us from having to have a person actually be physically there to take checks in and write the deposit slips and take them to the bank. We also set up an online system for the bill paying going the other way. We don't need to have a person in a building actually writing checks now. We can do that online and get it approved remotely. So all of this helps us save money and time as we don't need to be in the building. We've done some, as part of this going virtual, moved to a different accounting system, saving $20,000 a year. And as I said, hired new professionals to support all of this, which will also help us have some cross-training and support vacation and sick time, so that we're not dependent on just one person, as we have been. We've switched to a new payroll system, which will save $35,000 a year and is much more effective. And we are consolidating merchant accounts and saving in that way probably about $35,000 a year. And then last but not least, we created a draft budget for 2024. We didn't have a budget in 2023, and that's obviously not a good way to manage a business. So we have moved successfully to a virtual operation, and we've done this while catching up on a lot of tasks, hiring new employees, and learning about all of the many activities of CSL and introducing some money-saving improvements. So I'm proud of that success in 2023. And yeah, there is a lot yet to do. So I want to make sure that you all appreciate that I'm aware that we need to continue improving, specifically making sure we have timely and accurate reports for the executive director and the directors, which was missing in 2023 for the most part. And the same for the finance committee. They've been very patient with me, but we need to get them the reports monthly and accurate. We need to make sure vendors and contractors are paid timely. That was a problem in 2023. It's not now and shouldn't be going forward. Deposits from the CSL communities need to be recorded in Salesforce, and hopefully now all caught up and going forward will be done on time and just perfectly. We need to also improve our payable system for international partners because our current system isn't very good for international partners. So that's a problem we need to work on and see if we can fix. We're going to improve our receivable system to enable more efficient tracking. And as I said, cross-training for the department and document processes and procedures as we develop new and improve the old. So that's a quick overview for the finance and accounting department. A lot of good news. A lot of progress, still a lot more to go, and I'm so grateful to all of you for your support. If you have any questions or want to contact me, please don't hesitate. Thank you.
I wish Ty was here to receive that. He is watching. That's true. He's a rock star, and he has moved mountains. He's moved mountains this past year. So now we have a video from our development director, Michael Schlut, and he is just a caring, dynamic being. And he works part-time for us and then part-time for the foundation. And that part-time is a full-time because he gives so much to the organization. And so we'll play that for you now.
Hello, my name is Michael Schlut. I am the Director of Philanthropy for Centers for Spiritual Living. And so I would like to begin today just speaking with you a little bit about our individual donors who give directly to the International Home Office. CSL Home Office receives an average of about $230,000 per year. Presently, we have about 1,250 active donors who give on a regular basis, and many of these donors do not have a center near them to attend, and so they want somewhere to give and really enjoy being able to support home office. We conduct 2 appeals a year, one in early summer and one at the end of the year. Wills and bequests. Many of our donors have designated Centers for Spiritual Living in their wills and their planned giving. We are at a point now where many of our most dedicated donors are transitioning, and we continue to receive very generous donations from their estates. On average, we receive around $30,000 to $250,000 per year from wills and bequests. And it is my department that oversees all of these wills and bequests. Centers and affiliates. As you know, we have around 400 centers and affiliates, and they provide, through their committed giving, 25% of the international headquarters budget. We have been encouraging centers as we go virtual and move through using technology more, when they can, to give through the portal at Our Community or csl.org. When Reverend Michelle came on as our executive director, she wanted to have us to begin a resource development committee, which of course fell under my area of expertise. I have been so happy to be able to work with Reverend Michelle to get this resource development committee going. You can see the members who are on that committee there, and then the 3 staff members down below who provide support for them. This committee began in March of 2023. We meet every month on the 3rd Wednesday. We have had 2 visioning sessions, and now the committee will be putting together a development plan for 2024 with the goal of raising income for our operating budget at CSL headquarters. And our goal always remains to help raise the funds to better serve Centers for Spiritual Living communities. I wanted to say thank you. I'm coming up on 6 years at CSL headquarters, and I feel so blessed to be working for such a great spiritual organization. I want to thank each of you, ministers, practitioners, and laity, for the privilege of working with you. You inspire me, you support me, you make each day a day to remember. And most of all, you remind me that we live in an abundant universe. Please feel free to contact me at any time with any questions that you have, and I hope the rest of the convention goes well for you.
Yay, thank you, Michael. Such a joy to work with. So now I get the honor of introducing our field service director. Reverend Julie Lobato is our dynamic field service director. She brings to this position great heart, great care, and great soul, and caring for her team, caring for the community, and caring for the work. And so I'm honored to have her on our team and to introduce her right now as she gives you a thorough update of all the amazing work that Julie and her team do for our centers. Julie.
Thank you, Reverend Michelle. I'm gonna check out this little clicker here. It's not. Yeah, I'm hitting the green button. Oh, thank you. All right. Figured out the big green button here. In our department, we are committed to mindful service, supporting the growth of CSL members and communities. You know, Reverend Sunny, our spiritual leader, told me one time when we were meeting and I was putting together these slides, she said, bringing enlightenment to your doorstep, because even the spiritual journey needs reliable field services. And that's our goal, right? Reliable field services. So to say that I am honored beyond measure that I have the opportunity to work with such an exemplary team in field services is a huge understatement. The exceptional individuals that are committed and dedicated in this department, they're amazing. And I'd like to introduce them to you now. Reverend Nan Bankston, our Ministerial Services Program Manager. Linda Summers, our Practitioner Services Program Manager. Practitioner Rebecca Hiroka, who is our Field Services Program Manager. And Reverend Michelle Scavetta, our Youth and Field Services Program Manager and CSL Teen Camp Director. So I have got a shout out to our beloved Senior Director, Holly Sharp, who has helped me to make this a little snazzier than it had originally started out, because we like a little snazz, right? So as Michael had pointed out earlier, our affiliated communities and study groups, we currently right now have 391. I'm asked that a lot, so I thought I would put that in there. And as you see on the pie chart, it breaks down the amount of centers, focus ministries, teaching chapters, study groups, and teaching centers that we have. I'm going to run through a few of our stats of our 2023 year in review. We had 686 practitioners renew. We had 22 practitioner emeritus applications approved and 13 practitioners affiliated. So we had 696 ministers renew. So all of that accumulates to 819 ministers and 2,478 practitioners serving currently in the field. Yeah. And we broke a record in 2023, and I am thankful because that's you that did that. But we had the most annual reports submitted in 2023. We had 301. Some of that data, if we crunch the numbers, that means that through the data reported, we had an average weekly attendance of 66 within our communities in the field. Our field services team, as I had mentioned before, is committed and dedicated, and we're able to do all of these accomplishments that I'm going to share with you because we process an average of 13,713 emails a month and 242 meetings. Some other stats that I'm going to cover with you is we had 23 pulpits filled. We had 8 new communities created with right around 16 in process right now. We ordained 20 ministers. We licensed 109 new practitioners, and we licensed 26 new ministers or affiliated ministers. And right now we have right around 29 communities somewhere in transition. So our annual reports, I had already mentioned that we received the highest number back ever, so thank you, kudos to the field for that. Ministerial services, you know, we provided an interim ministry course that was a prerequisite to interview and become a part of the interim ministry team. And last year we reworked it and rebranded it to transformational ministry because there's so much in that course that is good stuff and can be utilized from ministers that are serving communities. And so we have a new course starting April 3rd, 11 a.m. Mountain Time for the next 6 weeks. A little plug in there for professional development. We added policy and application for the Minister Emeritus status. We went live on that January 1 and have already processed many applications for that. We reformatted launch to a 6-week mini sessions in the evening and updated policy regarding criminal records and licensing. In our practitioner services, we completed and processed 140 new practitioners, updated all of the practitioner lists with the senior ministers, created new documents for the practitioner instructiles in Salesforce, re-recorded and updated the panel videos and instructions, and set up a new payment process for prac renewals. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. Our youth and family services, we hired a full-time program manager there. We returned to in-person regional winter camp last year. Yes, woohoo! Teen Camp came into the field services management as of June of 2023. We started bi-weekly Teen Camp adult leadership meetings, talk about collaboration, talk about leaning into the wisdom of the field. This has been amazing. And we helped upgrade the internet and purchase a sound system for Camp Cedar Ridge. We reestablished the teen co-director application processes, and we also updated the scholarship application process. We did some enhancements that Reverend Michelle has already mentioned, but field services partnered with CSL Marketing to pivot the communication strategies based on field feedback, and that resulted in the creation and execution of the weekly newsletter. And we've brought in professional development for our team. Program-wise, we created surveys and added support and programming for the virtual practitioner program and the virtual practitioner students. Main thing that we've really focused on in 2023 is streamlining processes. We updated forms for ministers, the minister panel forms, the ordination panel forms, and request letters for installations, ordinations, and anniversaries. We automated forms for practitioners, the practitioner emeritus application, approval letter and card online, practitioner transfer email confirmations, and candidate rosters. We also set up an in memoriam request to honor ministers and practitioners who transition. You know, we do a in memoriam presentation every year at convention, and we wanted to put together a way for the field to turn those into us, where we get the important information that needs to be included in that presentation. We also updated our background check process, including automating teen advisor background checks. So back to that practitioner license renewal process, Linda Summers, our practitioner services program manager, has the success story from 2023. So due to revamping the 2023 practitioner renewal process, including increased automation and simultaneously increasing engagement with individuals who hadn't renewed their licenses, we experienced a significant increase in the percentage of practitioner renewals. We went from 60% renewal rate to 88%. Yeah, that's incredible success, Linda. Huge shout out to Linda right now. Additionally, by contacting all inactive practitioners, she was able to update hundreds of records in Salesforce. And I can't begin to tell you how important it is that our records in Salesforce are as accurate as possible. So now I'm going to move really quickly into our goals for ministerial and community services. We are focusing this year on up-leveling the ministerial affiliation process. We are rolling out automation of panel forms for the new minister panels, ordinations, and affiliations, and we've already done 2 of those 3 as of today in 2024. We're going to connect with the deans to collaborate on the ministerial application process. We are updating and revamping the ministerial sponsor and mentor reporting process and consolidating record keeping on that. We want to increase communications with communities, senior ministers regarding upcoming events, and update and automate community affiliation application processes. It's time to automate that process, folks. Practitioner services. So we've already sent out the extended practitioner list that happened earlier this year. And yes, I know we're just in the middle of February, but it included leaves of absences and inactive practitioners that before was not included. So what we want to do is we want to get an accurate record of who is on a leave of absence or inactive, so that we can reach out to them and see if they're interested in renewing their license. We're also working on automating all of the other processes for practitioner licenses, such as reinstatements and affiliations. Those are the last 2 that still need to be automated. World Ministry of Prayer is a program in field services, and part of our goals that we want to do in 2024 is right now we're hosting the prayer room at this convention. So a big shout out to all of you who have volunteered to serve in the prayer room this week. And for those of you that don't know, it's in room 8, Palms 8. And we want to host some World Ministry of Prayer events in 2024. We also want to include Spanish and European services, launch new applications and tracking forms on the website, and host trainings for volunteers. In Teen Camp, we want to open Teen Summer Camp registrations before April and Teen Winter Camp registrations by October 1st. We've created save the dates for all future camps. And our programs, we're going to continue to support and up-level the newsletter content to the field, host monthly support, study group support meetings, and integrate advanced programming for the virtual practitioner program. My presentation would not be complete without me doing a huge shout out of appreciation to all of you in the field that serve our many communities that really help to assist and make what happens in field service happen. So thank you all for your support and your service on our communities. Thank you. I now have the privilege to introduce my beloved colleague, Reverend Kathleen Sibley, the Director of Global Services.
Well, hello. It's my pleasure to be back from Kenya and saying hello to all of you guys. I am the Director of Global Services as of July of this year. And I'm going to find the big green button. So since I was hired in July, my big project has been the assessment of the services that we currently provide. And as you can see there, we have definitely sent out some survey monkeys. What we've learned so far is that about 10% of our clergy, which includes ministers and directores espirituales of the international communities, that's about 10% of our clergy worldwide is outside of the US. About 17% of the practitioners, and about 15% of all of our communities. And it's growing quickly, especially outside the US, in Africa and in South America. But our communities are more than our statistics and demographics, as fun as those are for me, because I too geek out, Tony. Following the closing of CSL Geneva, two practitioners, Linda Orr-Iso and Carla Coley, took over taking care of the spiritual chain reaction, which is 2 different meditations, each now weekday, that meet and have about 20 people showing up for each one. Anyone can join that. Did I mention that anyone can join that? Yes. Okay, good. So at that meeting that anyone can join, we have meditations that are sometimes led by ministers, practitioners, laity, or members, or just about anyone. I want to give a big shout out to Reverend Josh Reeves and Reverend Chris Plim, who work with the Ukrainian practitioners monthly to support them in their work, and were especially important when the town where our bigger teaching chapter was actually bombed. We had a day full of praying for our practitioners and waiting for them all to check in. I'm very grateful to tell you that while there was some trauma, there were no deaths or serious injuries. So multiple centers work together in supporting our colleagues who work in this amazing project. And I will tell you more when I can find the second page. There it is. Latin America is just fantastico. It accounts for about 1/3 of our practitioners. The practitioners are doing really well out there. The Escuela de Liderazgo Espiritual, which is the School of Spiritual Leadership in Latin America, is now under the direction of Directora Espiritual Ada Dimitropoulos, the fabulous. Pictured here is practitioner Betty Cespedes, who leads multiple communities in Cuba under the name Centro para la Vida Espiritual Cuba Study Group. Spanglish, we love it. She has a show on the local radio program, and so she is known across her town. She gets greeted by everyone. And she meets with students in Havana, which is actually a 15-hour trip each way, and in Bayano Granma, which is another trip of about 8 hours each way. When she can't teach in person, she uses WhatsApp to teach online, and understand she does not necessarily have Wi-Fi available to her, so she pays for data to do that. Africa is another place that's rocking, and you'll hear a lot more about some of the stuff going on in Africa in my breakout session, and I promise I'll keep this short if you show up at the breakout session. That thing says I have lots more time. Anyway, so in Nigeria, we don't have him pictured, but Joser Ejukwu leads the Universal Center for Spiritual Living Study Group and has a radio program with over 1 million listeners. He also recently was honored with the Nelson Mandela Leadership Award. In Nairobi, Kenya, the Center for Spiritual Living Kenya continues to thrive. One practitioner from that center is Christine, shown in the very pretty dress off to, I believe it's the right side for you guys. Also made this one. Represent. She works with local children and has worked very well in, as you can see at the bottom, she teaches them affirmations. And she created a program around the idea of seed soil plant. So now they not only have the kids working, that brought in the moms, and once that started, that brought in the dads. Each of them gets to plant, these are the gardens, but they also each get to plant a tree. And that tree is then usable when they're adults in order to build their homes. I will add that because of Christine, I never get to complain about my hard days again. She has been accused of being a witch in her town. And this is partially an interfamily drama, but it is all, she got the family got the local priest on their side, and she was actually stoned. She did not run, and therefore she did not die. And when I saw her, she seemed fine. But she definitely informs my yardstick for a bad day. So props to her, she is amazing. These are just some of the people who are part of the passion and purpose of Global Services. I have in front of you practitioner Gregory Coyle, who is the outgoing chair of the Global Services Committee. He has been working tirelessly from Norway in order to help support all of these different organizations and managing the different procedures that we have for supporting our global services. Reverend Dr. Trish Hall is in Metro DC and is offering what we used to call Prac 1 on Saturday mornings so that people in Europe could actually be part of it. So she's got I believe some people in Africa as well as Europe in that class together, and it's being TA'd by Gregory Coyle. Trish is the new chair. And we keep hearing about all the different ways that we work together and all the different ways that we have to work together. And so I want to shout out to Blanca Mejia, who is the Directora Espiritual de Mérida, and our own Reverend, oh my God, he was my classmate, what's his name? That's so sad, Kathleen Ann. Was that out loud? James Peake, who now has they work together, and if you look on Our Community and you speak Spanish, you will no longer have your computer translating all the English into Spanish and then the Spanish in Spanish. There is a section called Recursos en Español, and they managed to get that up there, so it is everything you need if you are a Spanish-speaking person who needs to be able to get at PRAC licensing and questions about PRAC and who to talk to about classes. Entonces tenemos todo en español adentro del parte que se llama Recursos en Español. Todas sus preguntas, todas sus dudas están allá. ¿Vale? Okay. And there is Nuestra Blanquita and me. The vision of Global Services is to develop, support, grow, and empower international spiritual communities by bringing the teaching of science of mind to the world. That is what we are doing. We do it together. There are many, many places here in the U.S. that are working together with our international brothers and sisters and partners to make all of this happen. And so it is so important that you know that you are having an effect worldwide. I'd love to share more with you at the breakout session on Thursday at 3:30. And now I would love to bring up Reverend Dr. C.C. Coltrane, who is the Senior Director of CSL Education and one of my heroes.
Got to give Kathleen another round of applause. She's amazing. Are we being saged in here? Ah, good. Before I start with this clicker, I forgot to add this to my report, so I'm going to say it now. I also have the privilege of working with the Dean of the Kenya campus, and with Ada Dimitriopoulos in Latin America, both of us. The dean of the Kenya campus is Catherine Cardinal. She's in Canada. Amazing, amazing work going on. They are on fire, and it's really, really exciting. So I'm the Senior Director of Education for CSL, and that means that I have several kind of hats to wear and programs to run. The first one I want to talk about is ministerial education, which it comes in two parts. We have the School of Spiritual Leadership, and then we have the Holmes Institute, which provides the distance education as well as its own accredited master's degrees to anyone who wants to take them. If you have a bachelor's degree and a burning desire to grow in wisdom, come see us. It's a fabulous program. This is the staff that I get to work with, me and Dr. Greg Salyer, who is the Chief Academic Officer of Holmes Institute. He is incredible. He kind of created this new Masters in Wisdom Studies program and put the classes together and is like up to the minute in the way that the classes are offered in terms of online education. He's a rock star. And we have many rock stars at home office. When Michelle said that the team was great, the team is incredible. I'm just saying. Dar Herford is our administrative registrar. I call her the goddess of spreadsheets, and I'm so grateful for her because I just don't do spreadsheets. And then Matthew Taylor, who is a very warm-hearted geek. He takes care of our students in technology and in so many other ways. He's a friend to them, and he's superb. We also have the School of Spiritual Leadership, which is the practical ministry half of the program, and an amazing group of deans there. These are the campuses. In San Diego, it's Reverend Dr. Kathy Hearn. In Los Angeles, Reverend Catherine McKinney. In Napa Valley, Reverend Jay Lang. In Denver, the amazing Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano. And in Florida, Reverend Rick McCollum. Then, as I mentioned, we have the international campuses in Kenya and Latin America. The deans are the places where spiritual development happens. They really nurture those students into becoming ministers and shepherd them on their way through all of their classes and all of their practicums. And getting the reports on the practicums is probably the hardest part of the whole journey. But our students are so remarkable right now, I just have to say. I taught a class at Holmes Institute in leadership and was blown away by the caliber of people who are in our program to become ministers. They are really exceptional, and they're going to rock the world once they get out. I'm just saying. So last year we graduated 11 ministers in 2023 and welcomed 15 new ministerial students. We created a centralized ethics course so that we knew that all the ministerial students across the country were getting the necessaries when it comes to ethics and ministerial ethics. We just want the training to be consistent so we know that everybody knows what they need to know. We are seeking all those practitioners who have a call to be part of the evolution of science of mind and carrying it out into the world. The other thing that I just want to comment on is that ministry has expanded in so many different and amazing ways that it's not simply only center ministry anymore. It's all kinds of things. We have teaching centers, we have prison ministries, we have we funnel into the chaplaincy, what is that called? Chaplaincy, that thing endorsement, thank you. I can never remember that word. Ministry has just exploded, and there's so many creative ways to do it, and our students are always finding new ones. In 2024, we're going to continue that centralization in two other areas that we believe are very, very important. One is church financial management, just to make sure that students all know what they ought to be doing with their organizations, their community's money. And diversity, equity, and inclusion, because we want that to be very solid and consistent training, because diversity, equity, and inclusion and justice are really the foundation of active oneness. That's our belief. And the Dean's Committee is working to create pathways for different types of ministries. How can we support the students who want to go into chaplaincy, and how can we support the students who want to open a teaching center, and how can we support those who want to become youth ministers, etc. And also to streamline the processes to make it a little less, it's confusing, and we're trying very hard to make it less confusing, partly because of those two halves. Holmes Institute, we put together what I think is an amazing program. It is now fully accredited and checked off by our accreditor, offers master's degrees and a certificate in wisdom studies. We thought and thought and thought and put everything together and realized that what we're really teaching is wisdom. Ancient wisdom, applied wisdom, wisdom in leadership, all the way around. And as I said, it is now available to anyone who has a bachelor's degree. About probably 30% of our students are not ministerial students. They're there for the master's degree in wisdom studies. We have been accredited since 2003, and we still are. So that's what we did last year. We finalized and rolled that out, and the artwork is part of our new program. Every course is like a little mini art course too. What we want to do in 2024 is continue to create this culture of evolution and continuous improvement, taking into account what the students tell us, what the faculty tells us, what the world tells us, and we are launching a huge marketing incentive to get word about our program out to the whole world. We think and know from the people who are coming in that there are lots of people interested in this kind of higher education. They just don't know we exist. So we're going to tell them. Our goal is to ultimately become a profit center at CSL rather than a loss center. Okay, spiritual education. I'm just in love with this part of it. We are working to develop a truly evolutionary and evolved spiritual education for those who are already in our centers and in our movement, but also for those who are out in the world looking for what we have to offer. I firmly believe that this teaching will change the world if we get enough people enrolled and into it. And so we're working on soup to nuts, A to Z, new coursework that we will make available, of course, to the centers, but also coursework that will make available to the general public online, so that we can introduce people to the concepts of science of mind without them going, science of what? Or anything like that. People who may not even know we exist, Centers for Spiritual Living, we will introduce them through this coursework. Another amazing group of people in the spiritual education staff. Reverend Ryan Alexander is now our education manager, and they are doing an amazing job. Amber Davidson is part of the staff, and she runs the Circles program, which I think now we have 118 spiritual living circles going. Reverend Dan Granda and Breeze Martin Swan, that is the staff of spiritual education, and they are all just like, we all have the same vision and the same energy around what's coming in the future. So it's very exciting. So, yeah, 115 students in online courses that were taught through Centers for Spiritual Living, and 117, sorry, I misstated, spiritual living circles worldwide with 800 participants, which is great. And as Reverend Michelle said, we have gathered a lot of people together in at various sessions to discuss and vision about what's needed in CSL education. So we've put together a very preliminary draft vision and purpose, which is to offer spiritual education and training to the world to enable all people to build healthy, happy, balanced lives according to their own lights and longings. guided by the spiritual principles and practices of science of mind and spirit. That's our draft mission and vision statement. Spiritual education in 2024, we have the map, and now we have to flesh out the road signs and the actual courses for all levels, so we have a consistent vision and message throughout. We begin to create the courses and make them available to the communities and to the outside world, and we develop and launch teacher training for the people who teach these courses in centers so that the very best job can be done to nurture those who come seeking ways to create better lives. We are also reconfiguring the plan of courses that we offer from Centers for Spiritual Living, the online courses we offer, because y'all are doing virtual classes, right? So why don't we work with you to get those people who don't have a center nearby to maybe take their classes at some center that's offering them. We're also going to be marketing all of this stuff to reach not only communities and potential new members of communities, but those who are outside the bubble, who will benefit from this kind of training. Because we want to be a major source of quality spiritual education in the world. That is our ultimate goal. So thank you very much for your presence here at this convention and your attention. I appreciate it. And let's see.
Pivot. We're pivoting.
She's pivoting, so thank you. Thank you again.
I just want to say what a rock star you are, Cece. Thank you. We love you. So we are going to pivot, and we will do Holly's recorded presentation in the afternoon. We're running a little bit over. We apologize for that. We'll do one more presentation, a quick closing, and then we'll come back at 2:30. So now I get the honor of introducing Reverend Barbara Bew. And I just gotta say, when it comes to passion and care and concern and dedication to our organization, this lady is it. She holds us in her heart. She holds all of us in her heart and carries us with us, and is so excited about the direction that we're moving in, and is really helping behind the scenes, putting the mechanics together that is going to get us there. So it's my honor now to introduce Reverend Barbara Bew.
You awake? All right. That is my before picture still. April 1st, 5 years ago when I took this job, or the other job. So last June, July-ish, I shifted from field services director to the director of operations, kind of did both for a few months and then shifted over, and Julie stepped into field services. So you've already heard all about that part of the year. And so now I get to work with this amazing team. James Peak is part of my team. We'll be clapping for him some more. I'll be able to go fast because some people revealed some things already that I didn't know they were going to reveal. So, and then Casey Taylor, who is our office administrator, Reverend Casey Taylor. It's been fabulous. Yes. This is a new department, and so we shifted some resources around as we had some turnover. And then I went 3/4 time also, so that we could bring some infrastructure and support to the CSL staff and directors. We were doing a lot of recreating the wheel. We had a lot of things that had just not been done, like standardized contracts. I heard a new word last night that I'm taking on, administry, because I have kept calling my job administrivia, and I have stopped that now. Administry. So we've been, when we started out, we were looking at creating systems and standardization, and improving costs of benefits for our staff, which, as you know, healthcare, right? Transitioning from this building-centric to a virtual work community, which I have to say is a lot more complicated than just, oh, go home and work, which would be great, and improve the infrastructure for that to happen. So first, James. James, as you know, is a rock star. He stepped into this IT thing. He's got an enormous background in that. I'm not going to read all this stuff to you. I'm going to do a couple of highlights. So this came up a little bit earlier where he's been creating like forms for you. So here's what used to happen. You would get a fillable PDF and you would fill it out, and then it would get sent to somebody like, say, Linda Summers, and then she would spend 47 hours clicking 47 buttons in Salesforce because you'd have to update one button and click save and update a button and click save because blah, blah, blah. Now, you fill that thing out and it updates all the buttons, right? So there have been 22 of those forms. James is paying his own salary in what he's been saving us. He's also been reviewing all of the contracts for things that we had that were related to IT, many of that we were paying that we weren't even using anymore. So he's cut all that stuff out. He also has been working with education to update all applications and registrations, same sort of thing. He's set up a lunch and learn now for our staff to get better at things like SharePoint, which you probably don't want to know about. He's worked with Ty closely in finance to improve our credit card processing in a way that is saving us, again, thousands and thousands of dollars. And the phase 1 of the Spanish language, our community, which for you, for all of us, here's what that means too. Now, instead of a form that is English, Spanish, English, Spanish, English, Spanish, it is a form in English and a form in Spanish, which means that all those automated things happen much more easily and is much less confusing for the people that are trying to fill them out. He also keeps a sense of humor. Yep. So we'll go there. Reverend Casey, we brought Reverend Casey on to help with administration. They have been amazing, because this whole thing of going virtual requires an enormous amount of research. And so it's like, okay, we want to figure out who's going to print certificates for us because we're not going to have a copy machine anymore or a printer anymore. And so I turned to Casey, and Casey goes out on the internet and on the phone and tracks down all the people that might do that and does a cost analysis of it, and then checks to see that their values are in line with our values and turns all that into us so that we can make an educated decision. They also made a commitment to returning your phone calls and emails within 24 hours, and I believe that's been happening to the main line, the one that Casey answers. Casey works closely with Michelle's executive assistant to standardize. We have a lot of files, and we've been moving them all online, so we've been standardizing how we do those things so we can find things. She does it all with a lot of dedication and love and tenacity. The rest of it all, supporting, we're trying to get this building moved off. I promised Michelle that I would get it emptied, so working on that. We've done, the directors, when we were in town, I thought she would mention this, when the directors were in town, we had a night of purging junk. It was really fun. There are things that got moved into that building when we bought it 14 years ago that have never been opened. So you know how it is when you we live in a house for a long time? Oh yeah. We've been doing that thing, standardizing contracts, creating onboarding and offboarding systems, which we did not have, implementing new insurance programs for the staff. This is important. We brought in Reverend Pamela Grace Beatty to, yes, as a contractor, she's on, pay-as-you-go kind of thing, to be HR support for our team. We have not had HR support we had not had real HR support for probably 12, 15, 14 years. So that's really important for our team. And then she also helped us rewrite the employee handbook. This is administry. I'm telling myself now, this was administry, right? It had not been updated since 2014 and still had things like your paycheck will be on your desk. We are in the process of I know, right? Life changes. We are now in the process of bringing in a new phone system, which will be much more app-friendly for all of our staff who do not actually have a phone on a desk anymore. We've been reviewing external contracts, like I said, getting rid of things, working with finance, that payroll system you already heard about, ministry. We're moving everything. We had servers in the building. Like, you just don't think about all this stuff, right? We had servers in the building. So servers are gone, and everything's in this thing called SharePoint you don't want to hear any more about. Trying to help the archives with their move, that sort of thing. We're just the things, right? It's the things. Wanted to bring the same sort of organization and streamlining to the team and the staff and the directors so that they didn't have to recreate the wheel all the time, kind of the way we did with field services. So I get a moment, though, to say to you, au revoir, pretty soon. It has been my intention to retire for a bit. I promised Michelle when she came on that I wouldn't leave too soon. And so we've been working together to I'm sort of working my way out of a job as I get all these things done. And I did promise her I'd get the building emptied. But as many of you know, my wife and I bought a house in France, and we are spending half of our time there and half of our time in the US, and we are gonna go live the life we've been working on living for a long time. It has been a true honor to do this work.
Thank you. Thank you. Whoa.
Thank you, Barb. We appreciate you.
Well, I believe that completes the first part of our business meeting. And I'm so glad that you were here with us for this. We're going to take a break. We'll meet back in this room at 2:30 for the last half of our meeting. We'll have opportunity for question and answer after a few more reports. And what else would you like to add?
A little more than a few more reports, but it'll be good. Write your questions down. If you have questions, we'll have about a half an hour for question and answers. And look forward to seeing everybody back here at 2:30.
Thank you. Yay! Woohoo!
I understand why you might be afraid. I feel the same way. I understand why you might wanna run. We've all been undone. What if this is everything we've ever dreamed that we could have?